Hello everyone, it's Ken. Over the past few days, I've had a lot of ideas when it comes to killer powers pop in my head every now and then, but one has not popped in my head anywhere near as much as the boy in black from Joji Ito's work known as Lovesickness. A lot of Joji Ito's work would work very well in Dead by Daylight. However, I do think Lovesickness, or more particularly the boy in black, would work very well in Dead by Daylight. Something to keep in mind before I go into the killer concept, I will not be discussing killer perks, as I haven't really thought that far, honestly. And when it comes to the survivor, I think it's kind of obvious. It would be the boy in white, or possibly one of the other main characters in the story. But I won't be discussing any sort of perks to them either. And when it comes to maps, I think the setting of the manga would work just fine, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about a killer power in this video. I think I'm gonna let the idea of perks and stuff like that marinate in my head for a little bit longer before I go into that. Alright, let's start off with the killer's power. The boy in black has a very similar vibe when it comes to mist or fog, so I believe his power should somewhat mirror that. And for quite a while I've been wondering why behavior hasn't done this when it comes to a killer, but allowing them to modify loops would be really fucking cool. And by modify loops, I don't mean cause illusionary palettes like the Doctor, or cause fake palettes like Freddy, I mean fully changing loops. When approaching a loop, the boy in black can actually pull up their power and have two choices. Well, technically three, but we'll talk about the third one later. The first one allows them to change the tile completely, like for example from a TNL to a jungle gym. You have no idea how long it took me to say jungle gym. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes trying to say it. Or they can do an illusionary change. These illusionary loops, when approached by a survivor, will cause the mist to fade and reveal the original loop below it. Fully changing a loop and illusionary loops are two entirely different things and will affect his power very differently. A question you might ask is, can you change the loop to another palette loop, for example, causing a palette to respawn? Basically meaning that the loops are their own instances, meaning if you swap between them, like for example you swap to where the palette's on the left side, and then you swap to the right one, if the right one was ever broken, swapping back to the right one would always result in the palette already being broken. Or dropped for that matter. However, the killer can actually gain an invisible token that will contribute towards his main power. You might be wondering, how does he gain this said token? Well, while in chase with the survivor, if you corral survivors into the illusionary loops, you will gain a token. These tokens, whether it be 5 or 6, will eventually allow you to pretty much cast like an ultimate ability. This ultimate ability will actually shroud the entirety of the trial in very thick fog, causing the survivors and the killer to not really see all too far, maybe like 10 feet in front of them. During this time, all survivors' screens are flipped. Now, not their controls or anything, just purely their screen. Of course, UI won't be affected by this, and neither will the killer. And during this time, the killer will not be undetectable and won't be able to ever gain any sort of undetectable, even with Insidious or any other ways of obtaining it. And during this mode, the killer will also be affected by the exact same mist and limitations, but will have a slight advantage. While the mist is active, survivors will emanate a very slight tear radius. This tear radius cannot be heard by other players, but heard by the boy in black. This tear radius will kind of sound like cries or other noises the survivors would make. This will mirror the wants and desires that the boy in black crushed during the events of Lovesickness. If at any time a survivor goes down by the killer's hand, the mist will instantly dissipate. This means things like plot twist and bleeding out due to deep wounds will not cause the mist to dissipate. But even when the mist dissipates, this does not mean that the survivors' screens are no longer flipped. They are flipped for the remainder of the power's duration. Let's say maybe like a minute. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This idea was just in the back of my mind for quite a while, and I want to discuss it, and I might even discuss future stuff like this, and probably perks and different concepts relating to this chapter. Thank you all for coming out to see my weird little fan idea of Lovesickness. Please do let me know if you want to see more of this, or if you want to add to this idea. Maybe you thought of some other modifications of the killer's power and want to make it known. If so, let me know, and I'm more than willing to hear you out. I hope you all did enjoy this kind of short and random video. But yeah, without further ado, bye.